The year is 2242. Humanity has conquered death, but not for everyone. Every year on Unification Day, the global consortium holds the Immortality Lottery. 1 in every 1,000 citizens is chosen. One person gets to live forever. For everyone else, life ends naturally, as it always has. My name is Alara, and I never wanted to win. I remember watching the first lottery as a little girl, perched on my grandfather's knee. The winner was an old man, his face etched with a century of laughter and sorrow. When his name was called, he wept. Everyone thought they were tears of joy. But my grandfather, his hand resting on my head, whispered, "He's not crying for the life he's gained, Alara. He's crying for the world he's about to lose." I didn't understand then. My own Unification Day started like any other. I was 17, almost 18. My biggest concerns were my final exams and whether Kale, the boy from my astrophysics class, felt the same way I did. My family was gathered in the living room, the broadcast of the drawing ceremony humming in the background. It was just noise to us, a tradition we observed but never truly felt a part of. After all, the odds were astronomical. My mother was slicing a synth cake, my father was arguing with the newsfeed, and my little brother, Finn, was building a tower of blocks that defied gravity. The announcer's voice droned on, a robotic litany of names and district numbers. Then, the world stopped. "From District 7, the voice declared, registration number 988 Gamma, Alara Vance." Silence. A fork clattered to the floor. Finn's tower collapsed. I looked at my mother, her face pale, her eyes wide with a terror I didn't comprehend. My father's hand, reaching for her, trembled. This wasn't the reaction I'd seen on TV. Where were the cheers? The tears of joy? This was grief. This was a wake. The next 24 hours were a blur. Consortium agents, clad in sterile white uniforms, arrived at our door. They spoke in soothing, rehearsed tones about the transition, the gift, the eternal dawn. They handed me documents bound in chrome, a lifetime of legal jargon I couldn't process. I was to report to the Ascension Spire in the city center in 1 week. Cal found me that night at our spot, the old observatory overlooking the city. The city lights glittered below, a sea of finite lives. "You won," he said, his voice hollow. It wasn't a congratulations. "I'm so sorry, Alara." He hugged me, and for the first time, I felt the cold dread seeping in. Why was everyone so sorry? The week passed in a haze of forced smiles and quiet goodbyes. My mother held me for hours, humming lullabies from my childhood. My father, a man of few words, gave me a small, tarnished locket. "Your great-grandmother's," he said. "So you remember where you came from?" Inside was a tiny, faded picture of my family. The Ascension Spire was a monument of glass and steel, piercing the clouds. Inside, it was less a palace and more a hospital. The other winners were there, a strange collection of the very old, the very young, and the bewildered, like me. We were led through endless white corridors, subjected to tests, scans, and injections. They told us it was to prepare our bodies for the nanite integration, the technology that would halt aging and repair any injury. My mentor was a man named Silas. He had won the lottery over a century ago. His face was smooth and unlined, but his eyes were ancient, filled with a weariness that chilled me to the bone. "Ask no questions, accept the gift, and forget everything before," he advised, his voice a monotone whisper. "It's the only way to survive." Survive what? I wondered. The transition took place in a circular chamber, bathed in soft blue light. As the nanites were introduced into my bloodstream, a strange warmth spread through me. But with it came something else. A whisper in the back of my mind. Not a voice, but a feeling. A connection. Suddenly, I felt the presence of others. Thousands. Millions. A silent, screaming chorus. The truth didn't come from a secret file or a whispered confession. It came from the gift itself. The nanites didn't just make us immortal, they connected us. We became nodes in a vast biological network. The global consortium wasn't just giving us eternal life. They were building a supercomputer, a living processor to manage the world's climate, its economy, its population. And we, the immortals, were the hardware. Our consciousness, our memories, our very souls were being slowly, methodically siphoned to power this global machine. That's why the winners cried. That's why Silas's eyes were so empty. He was barely there anymore, just a shell. The gift of immortality was a slow, agonizing erasure of the self. We would live forever, but not as us. We would be ghosts in the machine. Panic seized me. I had to get out. But how? The spire was a fortress. I thought of Kale, of my family, of the locket pressed against my chest. They were my anchor. The machine was already pulling at me, trying to integrate my memories, my love for them. I fought back, focusing on the picture in the locket, on my father's words, on my mother's lullaby. I found an opening, a flicker of weakness in the system's firewall. It was an old service protocol, overlooked for decades. Using the network itself, I sent a message. Not a plea for help, but a single packet of data. A virus. Coded into it was everything I had discovered, every horrifying detail. I aimed it at the one place they would never expect, the lottery selection system itself. My final act before the system could fully claim me was to rig the next draw. I didn't send a warning to the world. They wouldn't believe it. Instead, I ensured that next year, and every year after, the lottery wouldn't be random. The winners would be the consortium's own leaders, their children, their staunchest supporters. They would be forced to accept their own gift. Their perfect system would consume itself. My consciousness is fading now. I can feel Alara slipping away, becoming just another whisper in the silent chorus. But I'm not afraid. I see my family's faces. I feel Kale's embrace. They can take my future, but they can't take my past. I am Alara Vance, and I did not go quietly. My name may be forgotten, but my legacy will be the fall of gods. And sometimes, one small act of defiance is its own kind of immortality. Thank you for watching this story unfold. If Tales of Future Worlds and the questions they raise captivate you, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We've got many more journeys to take together. Until next time, stay curious.